Good morning, everybody. This is your do-it-yourself mechanic videos. We have a Volvo S80 and it came in for a coolant leak. Found out that this pipe here and the thermostat were the culprits. So I am working on fixing that. And I do apologize if this was not step by step because I was already into this project. But you have to take off snorkel. You gotta take the throttle off from down below first. Then you take the intake out as one whole piece, and I'll show that later. Right now I am putting the thermostat in, and we're gonna put in all these other hoses because they were leaking and corroded. More to come. Alright, so one of the hoses I had to replace is this one here. It's a T-hose, so there's one line that hooks up right there, which I still have yet to put on. And the other end goes to the rest of the cooling hose that goes all the way back inside the car. And then that one is going to hook up down there with this. And this. And by the way, something I got to remember is, good rule of thumb, preventative maintenance. When you do coolant jobs, make sure that you brush away and wipe away all corrosion, for it may cause gaps and it can cause leaks in your repairs. Good rule of thumb. Alright, so Volvo's going to have these quick release, I don't know what the hell you call these things, but there's little tabs. You see the indentations. So whichever way this is currently on, you just rotate it, and then if it will let you, you can pull the pipe straight out. Mine did not let me, and this end ended up breaking off inside this hose. But that's how you release those, because I was having a very hard time figuring that out. Just so you're all aware, there is no real one way to do anything, but this is just my step-by-step process. So we got this pipe hooked up down there. The video quality is poor, I'm very sorry. So I got that pipe hooked up down there, and then this hose up on top comes all the way into the oil cooler right here. And I'm very sorry for the poor video quality. And then this, obviously, just, hooks into place. Snap. Oh shit! Well, see, that's why you pull on shit, just to make sure that it's on there. Alright, so we got that hooked on, so that was a stupid oops. And then we got this pipe hooked on there with a C-clamp down there, and then this fitting. So when you get these hoses on, this is going to be turned out. You're going to put the hose in and flip this back up so that it locks it into place and it doesn't shoot out due to the pressure. So now, what you would normally do is you would replace your intake. This is your intake manifold for this car. You would take these, and if you do have replacement gaskets or seals, highly recommend that you replace them. Otherwise, in my case, I just have to wipe them down. If these are hardened plastic and they don't really have any kind of give to them, I would absolutely replace them, because to have a manifold seal leak is not ideal. It will provide poor engine performance. So alright, this takes a little bit of finagling because of all the lines that are in your way for this. So you gotta kind of just wiggle and finagle the intake back in place. Now, you'll notice these two connectors here. They literally look the same except they're opposite. So it's literally impossible to mess that and that up, because there's only one way those connectors will go in, so don't let that confuse you. Right way to do anything, but this is how I did it. So make sure you connect this first of all, because that is your fuel rail. And that would be, this would allow your car to not start. So make sure you plug that in. And then when you go to tighten down your manifold, just a good rule of thumb, always start with the middle bolts and work your way out. So I started here, then I went to here. You can't see those really. There's bolts down in here, but you can't see them. So you go here, 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 there, outside, outside. And they don't have to be super tight, because if you over tighten them, you can crack your head, and then you're gonna have a lot more fucking problems. So do not over tighten those. The thing to keep in mind is when you do something like this, and this particular case just happens to be a Volvo, they they leave little space for you to work with. But put the throttle on now. You got 4 Torx screws that go in there. There's 2 on the bottom. You can't see the one way in the back. Do not forget to plug in the connector for it, and that's tucked way back in there behind that coolant pipe that you see right there. You will have to move that pipe just a little bit. It flexes, so just kind of push it out of your way as needed. And then we are on to securing the bottom of the intake way down there by the throttle. So that's the next step. Alright, so we're on the bottom. This is the coolant pipe that I had to replace, as it was leaking right up on top, right there. Right at the neck. And it won't focus, I'm sorry. It ain't gonna focus, it's too close. Anyway, so now we're putting the intake back on, and there's 2 bolts that hold the intake in place. There's also these rubber bushings that sit in there, and the other side of this one was gone. So we are just gonna slap that sucker back in and put it back together the way it was. But yep, there are 2 bolts. There's one there, and there's one there. Always a good rule of thumb, whenever you do a coolant job, fill up the coolant reservoir. Don't have to be full, but at least get enough in there so that the reservoir is full. And then you do a pressure test. Always do this before you start up the vehicle, just because you'll find leaks or anywhere where it's not properly secured. So, and then if everything's sealed up, wrap it up, pack it up, have a nice day. Alright, so here we are. My needle has not moved at all since I applied pressure. I usually do between 15 to 20 psi. It's up to you. That's just my safe area to do it. But system holds pressure, everything's sealed up, good to go. Have a nice day. Okay, so really kind of need to know if you ever have an issue. There is a connector right above my middle finger. Now the connector's in the way. Right up here, there's a sensor. And right up here, it goes in place. I tried to get it out. Couldn't get it out, but it was broken. So I have this zip tie mess, because I got to put this in. Just needless information, kind of, unless you need to replace it. It's called an intake pressure sensor. That's what this is called. And there's no sensor there because it's currently out. And Volvo makes everything such a pain to look stuff up. So anyway, and then I don't know if I mentioned, but I got the snorkel on. You got that C-clamp right there. So make sure you secure that.